When my father abandoned my mother, he said he was tired of the charade. Years later, I took her inheritance and chose to disappear from this world forever. After my mom and I met our deaths, they were fraven mad with regret when my mom failed to win over my dad. She left me with $1 billion, but after my boyfriend Ronnie Douglas repeatedly abandoned me for his true love, my heart finally broke. I turned my back on everything and bought a deserted island. Miss Gardner, you've successfully secured permanent private residency on this uninhabited island, along with a custom-designed partner service. He will love you unconditionally and remain forever loyal, the agent informed me. On the day Ronnie went skydiving with his so-called true love, I vanished from the shore. From that moment on, I ceased to exist in this world. Donald, have you forgotten I told you that if you ever betrayed me, I would disappear from this world forever? Brinley Herring, my mom, cried, her voice breaking. My dad, Donald Gardner, however, looked utterly bored. Enough. Sisters, strategies, how many times have you spun the same lie over the years? Aren't you tired of it? Irene is pure and innocent, he replied. She doesn't care about my money, only about love. You still own half of Gardner Group, so what's your problem? My mom froze for a moment and then staggered back a few steps. Her promises to you, you remember them clearly, but what about the ones you made to me? In this circle, who doesn't keep a young, pretty one? The truth is, I've been too indulgent with you all these years. With that, my dad stormed out, slamming the door behind him. I had always known that my mom was part of a system, a strategist. She had successfully completed her mission to win over my dad, choosing to stay in this world permanently, but the cost was clear. If he ever betrayed her, the system would erase her. And now my dad was tired of my mom aging and losing her beauty. He was openly involved with Irene Coaster, his secretary, who was 2 years younger than me. I couldn't understand. They had spent decades together. How could everything change so suddenly? I held my mom as she collapsed in my arms, her strength gone. My eyes reddened with unshed tears. She suddenly smiled weakly. Andrea, your dad will never understand. What kept me here was never the money. That night, I returned to the villa with a heavy heart. Ronnie, drunk, greeted me by pulling me into a tight embrace. Baby, you've been gone at your mom's place for so long, he murmured. I missed you so much. Feeling his arms around me, I touched the wedding ring on his hand, finding a sliver of comfort. Ronnie and I had been together since our school days, from uniforms to wedding gowns. We'd been married for 3 years, everyone said he, as a cold and aloof air, and Joria was utterly devoted to his wife. He handled everything personally, never once complaining at auctions. He spent millions of dollars on jewelry as if it were nothing, just to light up my world. Morning and goodnight kisses were a constant ritual. When I was gravely ill in hospitals, the man who never believed in God went to every church, praying to give up half his life for my recovery. He even cried when he saw me in my wedding dress. Andrea, I finally get to marry you, he whispered that day. He loved me deeply. The wedding ring I designed for him never left his finger, and he never allowed another woman near him. Before I could finish my shower that night, Ronnie burst in, wrapping his arms around me impatiently. His cool lips brushed my ear. Andrea, help me, he whispered. After an intense and passionate night, we fell asleep in each other's arms. Ronnie, who usually stayed awake until I slept, dozed off quickly that night, but I couldn't sleep, restless over everything that had happened earlier. Half awake, I heard him murmur a name. My heart clenched instantly. That name had nothing to do with me. At that moment, I looked at Ronnie's phone lying next to his pillow and couldn't resist picking it up. In all our years of marriage, I had never checked his phone. Quietly, I unlocked it with his fingerprint and was shocked to see the pinned chat at the top. It was with a girl. She looked a lot like me. Her Instagram location showed she had recently been in Andor. That was during the days I was visiting my parents, and Judith had just returned to the country. Suddenly, I recalled how Ronnie, always so composed, had inexplicably gotten drunk that night when he murmured, I miss you so much. Who was he really looking at through me? Tears fell unconsciously.